talked about different aspects of how we engage with innovation, how do we create innovations, starting from which people do we get, and Carola was suggesting that we need experts to do that, but also we learned that we need a toolbox, or we need tools on how to engage with creating innovations. But I think most striking was the fact that Ronan was pointing out that we have to lose all our fears in order to create. So we have to drop down fears. And
what kind of fears? What?
Fears of interacting with each other, fears of talking, and we have to liberate ourselves in order to engage with each other. And after that, we started an idea for co-creating, or idea for how do we put all these things together. And we had a 10-minute exercise in which we did a co-creation exercise. And we have a kind of a little idea for a product, which is perhaps better explained by somebody of the group, I think.
Yeah, who wants to explain out of the co-creation from Filippo Group? Ronan.
Well, the problem that was suggested was how to overcome the damages of moths eating your sweaters in the winter. And these butterflies go the clothes and the put eggs and the worms eat your. And it's a big problem for me, at least. Anyway, so we said we have no fear. So there was a suggestion. Let's take something from nature. So one of the I'm making a 10-minute process very short. Let's grow these. How do you call this? These where is that?
Algae.
These kefirs. These
beetles.
Beetles. But there are beetles that have their hind side kind of shining, okay, like lamps. So you'll have like a group of these that are genetically engineered, flying around your house, acting as basically house cats, eating the moth. The moth will be attracted to them, and they will be eaten by these kefirs. This was one idea. The other idea was to accept the reality and go with it, and it came to pre-eaten sweaters as a fashion statement. And so and probably there was something in the middle I'm forgetting, but of course there is, the pre-eaten Armani sweaters, so it will be like a fashion statement.
Thank you.
So this was in 10 minutes.
Yeah, just shortly, if you have the feeling, why do I hurry all the time? Our guest has to leave at a certain point, so I'm hurrying this a bit so he can start. Mr. Andreas Gebhardt, I will introduce him. Please, Filippo, was there more in your group? Say no. That's it.
Thanks.
Just fun. Okay, Mark.
It's a very short sum up setup. Basically, we started off by thinking about how to engage the different specialists from other fields in technology. I think it was mostly in material, and then what are the right ways and who's missing in the groups to make it really possible. And one of the ideas was that actually the fields are still kind of close together. It's still even if you engage with specialists, then what's missing on the table is really the regulators and basically what we always agree upon is we have problems with the regulations. So we have all these ideas, but we can't get it through because the regulations are not there. We should invite them also on the table. They should be there to talk about this when we think about these new ideas. So they're also on board with us, and they can think with us to how to make that possible. Then also we talked about basically the limits to how do we engage specialists? What is there are different cultures of people basically that depends on the specialization, depends on the location. These different cultures it's sometimes hard to collaborate. And what is the way how you can do that? And that's one thing that I thought was great that came out is you need a bait that makes it interesting for everyone to work on it. So these baits might be different for each of the culture. What is actually making you participate. And one of the main outcomes, I think, was that that you need to fully collaborate, so that that everyone gets kind of the share out of it, so that, that everyone sees himself also fully in the process. And then maybe the one of the in-between tracks there was also the sometimes to fully innovate. The problem sometimes is you think about it too far, so that, or you are, as a specialist, you don't want to talk about problems or about questions you have, because you're the specialist, and maybe it's hard to ask questions. So the questions is something that shouldn't be there, and at the same time it's also trying to over plan everything before it goes out. So if you want to finish a product by 110%, then in the meantime another company ran over you and published that. And but if you publish with 90%, you get the 10% of unfinishedness, and get this from the community to actually come back to help you.
So this discussion was mostly on the way of working and the processes.
It was kind of going very quickly into the process, but also on what are the new specializations that come into it. So on different levels of scale. So what is the scale in landscape design that you would want to team up with? That what everyone feels in open space, you feel that everyone is a specialist in terms of the surrounding everyone knows. But what if you get a stage designer or somebody that really works in dramaturgist to team up and work on a problem that is in a completely different scale?
Thank you, Rob Henderson. What happened? Are you ready?
Yeah. So we had quite a lively discussion, basically around the final question. So this is how does technology deal with the scales of well-being? This is where we started, and then took it from there. I will do my best to summarize what we spoke about, and then pass it around to the other folks that were at my table. Let's say the most kind of interesting statement that we came up with, something that's been coming up all morning, is the idea of gratuitous innovation. So when innovation in and of itself becomes too much and becomes navel-gazing, as Jan said earlier, and does not begin to engage society. And in order for it to engage society, it requires a set of filters, and those filters come in different forms. So a set of criteria, but that could also be about management, leadership, guidance along the way. And then that innovation becomes operative and can be used throughout the society. I mean, that's just a kind of quick version of what we spoke about. I think perhaps some other folks at my table would like to bring up a couple of ideas, please.
Iemand als ergänzen? Yeah, so that was in a way a bit more an abstract level of when will innovation happen? This idea of filtering.
Or when is innovation valuable?
Yeah, when it's valuable.
Yeah.
Sophie Novell.
Thanks. I think we also talked about making space to fail, and I kind of use the analogy of flexibility and adaptation in living organisms, either at organism level or at evolutionary level. That if you build a building, if you're being very innovative, you have to build in the space to change if it fucks up, and you have to allow it to adapt. And if you think of a building as an organism, it should be able to do that anyway. Otherwise, it's going to die or it's going to get sick. Evolutionary level as well. There's a lot of wastage in evolutionary terms. Anyway, nature's pretty cruel. It chucks out thousands and hundreds of thousands of fails for every success. So there's also, that brings the issue of having the courage to chuck stuff out. And I think when you've got this sense of community in a group, sometimes you have to go beyond politeness and social norms in not wanting to offend someone who is carrying their pet project forward, to be able to say to them, sorry, actually, I don't think it's going to work. So...
Maybe.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, maybe that starts to define a little bit what Jan was speaking about earlier, which is not management but leadership. The courage to chuck stuff out.
Yeah. That's interesting because this human layer in collaborations, my question to Jan as well, the ego issue and etc. I never find literature how to deal about. There's no courses, etc. Yeah? Anyhow, thank you very much, Jörg, Petri.
I will also try to summarize in a very quick way. So we started actually very classical, like. There was a comment like architecture is not science, so it was really this architecture has to solve problems. We don't have time to create new solutions. We actually just serve what we are asked to do. So that was kind of the starting point of actually frustration, kind of where we said, this should not be like that. We can do different, right? So basically, we also realized in that sense, why is it like this, is that we said, okay, innovation has a different time frame than a timeline of a project. And I think that goes together with, let's say, how do you then bring architecture plus innovation to a very successful project? I think that was what Jan was touching upon when he said at a certain point the architect was out of the game and you just focused on that to realize the technology in terms of a connection with the building. And I think that also is a descriptive part of a time frame that needed to be solved or the setup of the team that needed to go in this direction. So we thought, how can we actually bring this together to have time to develop innovation but bring architecture on board again? Or to have architecture always still there. We didn't really find a solution, but we realized that this is a problem. That was one thing.
The first time that the word architecture falls in. Yeah, that's good.
So the role of the architect definitely then questioned in a way, so that we have to, and we are trying in different ways how to bring this innovation in and how to be part of that innovation. And so then, how can architecture create value with innovation so that people are eager to invest in it? How did Apple manage to create an iPhone that we all are eager to use now? Can we do the same thing in architecture? Very open question. Public funding, so money is an issue. How do you find people to finance this added value? So not just to deliver the building that is rain protection and insulation and giving you a comfort climate, but convincing, so to say, people who are investing in this added value and the more well-being. So that was also a topic we definitely agreed all on, that technology alone is not solving the problem, so it has to add this level of well-being that argues then or gives reason for the technology. And then sustainability like a circle, so that the building should actually not be read as a finished product, so that it's really adaptable for the next phases, so that you really take already into account that this building use will be a temporary thing and what's going to happen after that specific use, so that you really look into not a final product, but a growth model that can be recycled at a certain point of time. I think that were, from my side, kind of the main topics we addressed. I don't know, Jan, or part of our group, if you want to add.
You were together, right? Yeah. If we not want to add, we have more time to have the next guest. Thanks.
The idea is also we can't sum it up in such a short time. Let's use also the time in the lunch break to talk about the different, if we mix with the different groups, and maybe the interesting discussion come up.
Thanks very much. I'm going to applaud for you guys and